I want to highlight one project that we actually are doing in collaboration between PFMD, the work group of the European Cancer Patient Umbrella Networks, and in leadership of Myeloma Patients Europe, which is about reasonable legal agreements between patient advocates and pharma. And you might think, how boring is that? Why should we take care of legal agreements? But actually, I mean, I've been a cancer patient now for 17 years, and I've been in advocacy for 16 years. And what I sometimes feel like when I'm being confronted with the contracts that I receive to be an advisor, a consultant, a speaker, or a collaborator with pharma is like this. I feel like in this small boat, I'm getting a 15-page contract, which almost gives my firstborn to the pharmaceutical company. And that's where negotiations often start. And we thought some time ago we probably need to change that. And I would say we found kindred spirits in PFMD as patient advocates because we wanted to change the thing. And we also saw that on the pharma side, it probably didn't really work well as well. So that's why we started. A project to improve the balance of the parties between on the contracts between the patient organizations, to make sure that the patient organizations can do the work they do, which is mostly sharing, it's supporting patients, it's working with all stakeholders all across the life cycle in R&D, while protecting pharmaceutical companies on reasonable risk that companies might be exposed, because there are so many credibility issues and legal issues involved in working with patient organizations. So the objective was actually to address that, to incorporate the patient organization's capacity, legal expertise, and experience in signing these contracts with the expertise in the companies to make sure that both sides are equally protected and we can work in a safe environment on all these activities. And we focused our activities on consultancy, speaker agreement, and collaborative roles because these roles are usually totally different to classical consultancy with a vendor, but at the same time we usually get the contracts for a vendor. And that's actually what we wanted to tackle. And what we said is in this joint project to provide guiding principles and provide tools and also provide contract templates in simplified terms and language that both parties understand and accept and protect them in the right way. We actually decided to have a joint project led by Myeloma Patients Europe, supported by 18 cancer patient umbrella groups in close collaboration with PFMD or vice versa, and involve the pharmaceutical companies from the beginning. So you can see the companies that are involved in our legal work group, which is actually discussing the guiding principles. And I must say it's been an amazing process, because just suddenly the legal people from company A and company B were saying in the calls, so why do we have this clause? So will we ever execute that? Will we ever use that clause against the patient organization? So why do we have it? And that was actually the first time I saw legal people discussing about the framework of patient engagement. So I think the process has already been quite a good result. But what's the main issue? I've just highlighted 4 areas here on legal agreements that are problematic. The issue about confidentiality, because companies, of course, want to be protected in terms of their intellectual property, their commercial roadmaps, their products, and whatever. While the patient organization's business is sharing, they need to work with all companies. They need to they need to inform their patients about risks and benefits. They need to do that on a day-to-day basis, so that's sometimes contradictory. Intellectual property, the standard way to work with consultants is that everything they do is totally owned by the one who contracts them, while the patient organization quite often come with concepts and ideas and whatever into these meetings, and they want to leave the room also still owning those ideas. And if something great comes up, they want to implement and not hand it over to someone else. Data protection is, of course, a big issue about ownership of data, ownership of personal data, and so on, and also about disclosure, where, let's say, the patient organizations are under different pressure than the companies. And also the issue of compensation and fair market value is a constant area of negotiation and discussion. And there are more areas like that. So what actually has happened, PFMD and WeCan and the companies have worked hard to build guiding principles. We're almost there. We have a document of 9 sections, all each with rational examples and the guiding principles for each of that area. We have agreement on almost all of them with the companies. We're going to publish them very soon. And then we're going to go into development of template contracts that can actually guide the development. We know that there will be not a single contract for all the companies, but it will, I think, guide the development of understandable and reasonable legal agreements. And that's one of the speedboat examples that Tony mentioned, where PFMD has been a supporter of systematic change.